All right, on today's episode, we're going to show you how to create an irresistible lead magnet for your local business. We're talking about making sure that it's digestible content, packing so much value that it feels like they're stealing from you. And then what to do after you get the lead magnet. We're actually going to give you some real life examples of some lead magnets that we've personally downloaded in the past. So yeah, you definitely don't want to miss this episode. Check it out.
This is the Marketing Natives, providing actionable ways to grow, improve, and succeed in your business. And now, your hosts, Christian and Aaron.
All right, so super exciting episode. I was talking about lead magnets with a client last week, and then I was like, oh, this is like really good information that I was explaining to them, and I was like, okay, we should be reiterating this for ourselves, and I'm sure that most people who are listening probably know what a lead magnet is, and if you don't, we'll explain it. But also, I was talking to a networking group about this, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what a lead magnet is. Like the definition of it was like all over the place to them. Like it was all over the place. So we'll define it, but I think this is going to be a really, really fun episode. So
what is a lead magnet?
Well, I was going to ask you. So what did you think a lead magnet was before?
What do you mean before?
Like
before I knew?
Yeah.
What a lead magnet
like
was?
if you ever heard of it, you're like, what is this? I have no idea. Like I would think like a local business owner would hear lead magnet and they'd be like, no clue, right?
I mean, it's jargon.
Ambiguous kind of phrase.
It's definitely marketing jargon. It's not like it's not like every business owner should know this.
No, I don't think so. Maybe it's something like an offer, or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe an offer or a promotion.
Yeah, there you go. Something like that.
It's kind of like a lead magnet.
Yeah. But the way I broke it down, like the easiest way to explain it is like a lead magnet is something of really nice value that you're going to give away to somebody for free. And the problem that I think that they had, the group of people I was talking to, was they're like, wait, so you don't just ask them to get their email address, you have to like give them something? And I was like, yeah, it will increase your chances of getting more of those email addresses. So I just said it was something of value that you can give to your target audience that's going to help them or add value to them in exchange for it. And the biggest part of this is in exchange for contact information, email, phone number, whatever that may be.
Got it.
So I think that defines it pretty broadly, but it hopefully gives the people an idea or scope.
Yeah, I give you this.
Right.
You give me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bargaining chips.
Bargaining chips.
Yes. All right. So number one here is to start with some lead magnets. Whoops, that's information for the podcast. I was like, so my question, I guess, from this, I was going to ask this little part here is like, what's a lead magnet that you've downloaded in the past that you can think of? That you're like,
I think there was a presentation that I was getting ready for
Webflow?
Local Marketing Academy.
Oh, okay.
And I needed something, and I remember looking for it, and I couldn't find any additional. It had to be for like Instagram probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I think someone who was big into that, I don't remember their name, but I remember going to their website, right? Because I needed more information on how to create content for Instagram. Let's just say that's what it was.
Tyler McCall.
Yeah. I don't know. No. Maybe. I don't know. But in their website, they had a lead magnet that was like 175, which is an episode number for this podcast. 175 content ideas for your Instagram. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's exactly what I can make 6 presentations out of this. That's awesome. And you download it and it's like, majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, there's really nothing new, but it's there. And there may be like 1 or 2, or I don't know, if there's 175, hopefully there's like at least 10 that you're like, oh, wow, that was a good one.
Right.
I would have not thought of this. So I think those are like, to me, really good, juicy lead magnets are the ones that are like, here's 3,000 images for your next website. And I'm like, yes, I need that.
Right.
Like, I don't need them right away, but
I'm going to use them eventually.
And at some point, I'm going to use this information.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like those are like the ones that usually get me like excited. Not very much like the 9 things that you need on your website. Like those are like, whatever. They're just
Right.
9. But the ones that have like exorbitant numbers,
Right.
dude, I'm like, yes, I don't even need this. Like, or if it's like, I don't know, 28 plants that will actually live in your office and not die within a week. It's like, I kind of want to know all those 29 plants. Like,
Right.
I don't know. The bigger numbers just get me excited, I guess, when it comes to lead magnets.
We're going to talk about those later and like how beneficial it is for you as the consumer versus also the person who's giving away the lead magnet. So that's actually one of the tips here. But number 1, so that's good. I like that. Number 1 is to start with the step right before they meet you, and like what you need from them. So for example, like you downloaded all those tips for content. Well, their next step before you is like, oh, a person who's getting on Instagram who needed help with content, and their solution may be like a posting tool, or it may be like some kind of coaching program, whatever it is. So I think the information I was putting on here is like, so they're at point A and you're at point C, the person giving it away, you have to give them B, because they can't go from A to C. So like Christian would never go to that website and say, oh, let me just hire this person to help me out, or like to give me this tool to help out create content all the time. Like it's not likely that you're just going to go from A to C, like boom, right away.
Right.
Your first logical step would be like an easy, just give my email address away and I'll get this. So it needs to be the step right before you actually need their services. For us, it could be like, hey, I'm going to walk you through like training on like how to get your business to a certain level. Like we need people to either have a team or to grow their business or get their income to a certain level. And if they've got that, or to free up their time, then they probably make good sense for one of our programs. So if we can help them get to that point, then now it's like, hey, we can help you go to the next level. Here's that next level and how you can do it.
Yeah, and I think like the bigger lead magnets, like 175 content ideas, could also be like overwhelming to the point where it makes the consumer say like, oh crap, there's like a lot of stuff here, and like he barely gave me any direction on what to do, right, with these 175 pieces of content.
Yeah, analysis paralysis kind of thing.
And that's where like you kind of go into that, okay, maybe I do need this coaching to figure out what the heck to do with these 175 ideas. Right.
That's where you could like scroll down a little bit, like after 15, hey, you're probably feeling overwhelmed right now. Schedule a free strategy call.
Yeah.
Number dose.
Give so much value away that it feels like you're stealing from them. Yeah, and that's how I feel every time. Especially, the bigger ones like that.
You're like,
it's
dang, this is so
they're
good.
They're literally giving away everything.
Yeah. Like, there's no way they could, like, what are they going to charge me? Because, like, I already have all the answers. Like, they're giving me everything.
Yeah. And whenever you download something like that, you're like, ha, idiots. Like,
exactly.
I'm stealing your formula, like, whatever. And then, like, 2 days later, that thing is, like, in a folder somewhere in your computer. You kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the time to really implement any of that stuff, you know? So it's like, oh, who's the idiot now?
Yeah. They don't understand that I know how to use this stuff, and so I'm never going to need them again. It's like, I feel like that's how everybody feels after a lead magnet. You're like, oh, wow. This guy's such a sucker. He could have made me pay for this, but I got it for free. I'm way better than everybody else who downloads this.
But you're not. But yeah, so give so much value away that it feels like you're stealing from that person. I don't know what would be a good way to test that. Like if you're a business owner, you're creating your own irresistible lead magnet. What would be a good way to test if I get giving it away to?
No, don't even give it away. So I always tell people, and I was going to say this at the end, but we can say it now because I think it's a good pivot point, which is don't create it. Like, don't even think about, come up with some titles or whatever, what you would give away, and then reach out or post on a group or go live or whatever and say, hey, I'm creating this podcast, or I'm creating this checklist of how to create an irresistible lead magnet. Who wants one? And if you do, leave a comment below. Well, if you get 10, 15, 20 people who say it, be like, great, I'm going to message you. I'll have this for you by the end of the week. I'm finishing it up. And then you actually go create it. But if you put it on there and there's like one person who's like, hi, I'm Becky. I started at a company the other day. And what's Instagram? And like, you're like, okay, well, this is not good because it's not the right person. But if you have a good lead magnet, then you should have like tons of people reaching out about it. And like I said, don't even go create it yet, because I think that's a waste of time. I never want to waste time on doing something. You're like, oh, Christian created this 9 tips for your website. And then people are like, yeah, I don't care about this stuff for my website. Hey, local business owners, if you're ready to grow your business online without having to work more in your business and you can spend more time on it, we created a free training on how to attract, qualify, and convert more leads online. It's 38 minutes. It's going to take a little bit of your time, but it's going to have a huge benefit. It's completely free. Make sure you click below in the description, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on the podcast, everything's there that you need. Go grab the training now.
All right. So our next one here is make it digestible.
Mm-hmm.
Make it yummy.
Yeah.
Put some sugar.
Well, think about it. Like if you're going to, let's just say a crumble, and you're going to buy 3 cookies, that's going to be like super heavy on your stomach.
Well, that's a bad analogy. You know what does remind me
Why
of?
you don't like crumble?
No, it's just not related to lead magnets. But like if like there's a really old, I'm guessing it was a lead magnet from Noah Kagan that was 130 ways to generate traffic for your website.
Yeah.
So he could have made that and by digestible, he could have made that into, 130 ways. Like he could have put that into, I don't know, like a 90-page PDF and make it look really pretty and put graphics and stuff in it, like make it digestible. But if he really knows his audience, which he does, what he did, instead of making it a PDF, he literally just made it a spreadsheet on Excel or Google spreadsheets. And you can literally just go in there, and it's a little bit more interactive, actually.
Yeah.
It's just a list. It's a boring old list, literally.
Yeah.
But it's just so good. Like the content there is so good. Like you don't need it to be pretty or in a PDF form.
Right. We care about fractional, or like, what is that word I'm trying to use? Like practical.
Practical. Yes. It's absolutely practical and digestible for his audience. Now, yeah, if you're thinking about, maybe you run, I don't know, some kind of florist shop, or you're a Pinterest guru or whatever, like maybe that audience is more into something that looks beautiful, right? Along with, that value, which makes it more easily digestible for them. But I think knowing your audience and knowing how they actually consume data will help you create something that's highly digestible, like that 130 ways to grow traffic to your website.
Yeah. And I think the point for that number that you were talking about is like, it was probably a PDF that you downloaded, which means you may have skimmed through 20% of it. But at the end of the day, like if you don't finish it, like then it's not really as much valuable. Cause like part of this is, what does this make? The next one we're going to talk about is going to be a little bit more depth to what I'm talking about here. But like making it digestible is like something that you can consume in like 30 minutes to an hour max, so that like you actually get through it. Because to your point, like if you go through it one time, that's probably through the extent. Like you're going to download it and you're super excited about it right away. You're going to look at it, and then more than likely, like you said, it's going to go into a folder, and folders on our computer get lost real quick. It's just in the abyss. So you got one chance to get people to go all the way through it. And then luckily you have their email address. So that's where you do the follow-up part, which probably be another podcast episode. But you get basically one shot to get them to digest that information. Unless it's something like what you said for Noah's, like you could bookmark that document. But for the most part, you look at it one
Even
time.
then it could get lost.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I have thousands of bookmarks.
Yeah, exactly. I bookmark it. It's like, I bookmark. It's like, oh, look, this is stuff about college. 2010 bookmark. Like, yes, how often do we go to our bookmarks? Not that often. It's a nice thought that we have in our head. So you got 30 minutes to basically tell them who you are, what you do, why you're better than somebody else, and give them a ton of information, and then move you on to the next tip, which is to help them get that W. So like, you've got to help them get that win. Like, why did they download it? Like Christian downloaded this document to get stuff for a course or a workshop he was preparing for. Did he get what he wanted? And did he find really good stuff to help him get to that next level? I don't know. Did they? Okay. So whoever he downloaded it from obviously does not email him well enough, or he doesn't check his email, one of the two, because he doesn't know who they are. But if they did a good job, again, another podcast, I can see this in the making, is you at least have their email address, so you give them that win, and they're like, oh, so and so gave me this PDF. I got a win out of it. I was able to prepare for my thing that I'm doing. And now they're emailing me telling me about, okay, now that you've done this, you've downloaded the 175 content ideas. The next logical thing for you to do is to learn how to make money off of your content. Here's a free online webinar. Watch this free training. And then the free training is like 45 minutes of them explaining it. And you're like, oh, idiots, I can go and use all this stuff right now. But that's the W part. You got to have that win.
Yeah, I think that's very important too. It goes back to what we talked about last week, which was you capture their attention and then you tell them to scroll down their phone, they make that action happen. I think that has deeper, psychological benefits because they're more just attached to you. So like if you're able to provide that win quickly, again, it creates that psychological bond to, okay, they know what they're talking about.
Yes.
They were able to
Authority.
resolve my problem. So yeah, I think that's very important. And I forgot what I was going to say about that. Something else I was going to add
about them getting the win or implementing it. So we can.
I don't know what it was.
Okay. Well, getting the win is probably the biggest thing from here. I think to go kind of recap from the other ones, and then we'll tell you about the last one. Go ahead. You got it? All right.
Yeah. So I think getting the win, in order to get the win, and something that we haven't really touched on much, it's like you really need to know your audience. You need to have like your messaging like locked down.
Yes.
And it has to be like explicitly clear what they're going to get from this.
Yeah.
Because I think you can get a lot of losses if, whatever you're using, whatever tool, whatever method that you're using to, push this lead magnet. If you have just spammy or clickbaity stuff just to kind of get eyeballs to it, and then you don't deliver, you don't get that win, then that's just a huge problem.
Yeah.
So I think part of creating the irresistible lead magnet is knowing your audience very well and having very clear messaging. And I mean, again, don't be spammy, don't be clickbaity.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that for that W is also like it doesn't, like all the other things don't really matter. Like to what your point was, like Noah, he uses a spreadsheet and some people make it pretty. Like at the end of the day, if they download it and they're like, whatever, like it didn't impress me with the design, but it helped them, like, yeah, this looks like crap. But at the end of the day, it helped me and I'll download it 10 times over and I'll share it with a friend, then that's still giving them the win. And I think that trumps every other point. Like if it takes them from point A to point C, okay. But it gives them that win. And I think that's the most important part for the lead magnet. All right. Last one here is, I think the one thing that most people miss, and that is that the lead magnet is just to collect contact information. It's not to go in for the kill, but you should pivot them into the next step. So if they download this lead magnet, what's logically the next step? Is it a strategy call? Is it a free offer? Is it now that they know who you are, that you give them something else? What is it to take them to that next level so that, this is where you start to actually make money off of it, or at least turn them into something besides just a lead. Because lead magnet collects leads, and then not all leads turn into sales. So how do you take them from a lead to the next step?
So it could be, it's like that $7. What is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do we?
Tripwire?
Yeah. What is do we have one? Yeah. No, we don't have a $7.
No, not for $7. We have a $99.
Oh, I thought there was like a $7 thing that we were giving out. Maybe not. But yeah, it's like that. So I guess what would be if we had the 175 content ideas, what would be like a good tripwire?
A good tripwire would be like maybe like a video series from it. It's like, okay, here's like, maybe you come up with the content and then the tripwire would be, okay, now how can you use this content to actually make money from it? Because it's like, okay, you're great creating good content, you have good engagement, but now how do you turn that engagement into dollars? And this is like behind the scenes of me walking through Instagram of the exact messaging and templates that I'm gonna walk you through of how to direct message somebody who has no idea who you are and turn them into somebody who's gonna give you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So that could be a tripwire for like $49, unlimited access to this right here.
Bonus content.
Yeah.
My hashtag strategy.
Yes,
that
exactly.
I use to. Yeah. Got it.
So if you want that, reach out to us. We'll give it to you. It's $49. We'll create it after this. But no, that's the next step. Could be a webinar, could be anything.
Do you always charge for this tripwire?
Yeah, because then at that point it shows interest of like what's going to happen next. Now you're just kind of depends on where the person's at in their journey and the price point. So like our lead magnet doesn't cost anything, and then the tripwire is to have a strategy session. The only thing that we make them do instead of giving us money is like to fill out an application, so we know that okay, this isn't going to be a waste of our time or their time, and then it goes directly to the sale. If it's something smaller like a $39 or $49 product, or let's just say like your high end service is a little bit lower than that, you could get away with, the $39 or $49 optics, but we don't care about that because it's like we give a free training and then we make them pay $49. Just because they pay $49 doesn't mean they can afford our higher end service. So
almost tripwire is almost kind of like a qualifier.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting a more qualified lead because they're spending more time also filling out more information, or giving you money.
Because then they know they're committed. And if they give you $49, more than likely they're going to be able to like, okay, maybe you have a $300 or $400 course. Like if you spend $49 with them, the chances of them buying a $400 course for you is so much easier. It's like their credit card gets like 10 times lighter. It's like, oh, it's so much easier. I already know Joe is so-and-so because he helped me with my content strategy. Now he helped me get my first client from Instagram, and he has a $400 course that has 6 hours of content, and it's going to take me from 1x to 10x. I'll pay $400 for that. My card I'm happy to pay that.
Yeah.
So that's the pivot part, and it's so needed. And this can be done in the spreadsheet. Like Noah does it. I don't know if this one in particular you're talking about, but like down at the bottom, they'll say like, hey, if you found this was useful, go to appsumo.com or to sumo.com. Here's our products. Like they know what their tripwire is.
Yeah.
And then ours is always like, hey, go to apply.bitbranding.co or website or sales.bitbranding.co. Those are all like the next steps, and we should just have them in the PDF or in the video or like right now on the screen. Jack put up the Leads Accelerator screen here, and you can see the link, and that would tell you like, hey, this is a lead magnet. This podcast is a lead magnet to go watch a free training. So there's tons of different ways you could use it.
Excellent.
You want to recap those? I feel like we covered. How many did we cover? We covered 6,
3, 4,
5.
6, 5, 6, yeah. Okay, so yeah, number one, start with the step right before they meet with you. I think Aaron alluded to the point A to point C. You need to give them point B. Give so much value away that it feels like they're stealing from you. Make sure it's digestible. Make sure that it's something that you can get a quick win out of. And then pivot them into your tripwire. And I think in between that, we also mentioned knowing your audience, having a clear message that will help you create that irresistible.
Nice. That means
magnet.
irresistible.
For you, yeah, English speakers.
Yes. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Marketing Natives. If this is your first time, please make sure that you go over to Apple Podcasts and leave us an honest rating and review. Or actually, sorry, if you've been listening for a while, go over to Apple Podcasts, leaving us an honest rating and review. This helps us reach more people, and it also helps us figure out what kind of content we need to create so that you continue to have an amazing experience in your ears. If you are a new listener or watcher, this is on YouTube as well, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. It works on any platform, especially as YouTube. We put out weekly content to help you grow your business. If you are a local business, getting more leads and sales online. Like I said, we put out weekly content, not only this podcast, but also smaller pieces of content and tutorials from everything from Facebook, Instagram, Shopify, Webflow, everything on there for local businesses to grow online. So hopefully you got a lot out of this. If you did, please make sure to take a screenshot and then send us a message, either a DM or tag us an Instagram story and say, this was my major takeaway from episode 175. We will give you something super special because you did that. Thanks, guys.
The Marketing Natives podcast is a production of BitBranding.